Since it was determined that the show was going to end at 327 episodes, I'd like to think of this as a see you later, not as a goodbye. So I don't know when that would be, but yeah, they have my phone number. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kinda nice. Going out on a high.
Going out being the operative phrase.
Sorry.
You sorry? How sorry are you? Sorry that you fight to keep Donatello alive, but when it comes to you, you're just throwing the towel? It means nothing now.
Who's saying that?
You.
Yeah, this is also the last time we get to see you guys as Sam and Dean Winchester.
Yeah.
For now. Fingers crossed. Yeah, we have, this is what, the 4-week mark?
4 weeks left.
Yeah. I know.
So it wasn't really, if I played Sam Winchester for my entire life, I'd die happy, you know? As long as he had a story to tell, and he does have a story to tell, and he's telling that story. And maybe on April 5th, when Jared and Sam say goodbye to each other, hopefully it's see you later and not goodbye, you know? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
The show could go for many more years and still be a great show, leaving not only the fans wanting more, but also us wanting more. Like, I hope this isn't the last time I'll play Sam Winchester.
Nothing ever stays dead in Supernatural.
Hi. My question is, if there could be a Supernatural movie after the show ends, what would you want to see the plot line be about?
We didn't even say what the plot would be about. Quit wooing. Thank you. I'm going to try to be very strategic because Jensen and I know how the show wraps up. Yeah, now you're not wooing. If and when there's a Supernatural movie or reboot all on Netflix or something, I mean, I got some screams, so your turn, so I got some chills.
You didn't even throw out an idea.
Where's my rib shot? If Supernatural gets the opportunity to come back, either on CW or Netflix or however, whatever we air on, or could air on, I hope it's about Sam and Dean trying to make the world a better place.
This is why. This book. This is Dad's single most valuable possession. Everything he knows about every evil thing is in here. And he's passed it on to us. I think he wants us to pick up where he left off. You know, saving people, hunting things. The family business.
It was a conversation, and I think it's been said, so I'll man up and admit to it.
It was, and it sounds arrogant, but it was Jensen and my choice, decision. We were welcomed back, and I think Mark Pedowitz said that we were, and he wasn't, I'm trying to say, Mark Pedowitz wasn't lying when he said the show will go as long as Jared and Jensen wanted to go. And he allowed us to find out, or come to our consensus. It took a long time, years. We've been talking about it. It's such a weird thing to say, because especially as an actor, you're like hoping for an audition, to hope for the 1 in 100 chance to get a call back, to hope that somebody thinks you did a decent job, to hope for a job for 3 days. No.
We're on the clock, man.
We're on the clock.
We're on the clock. We're getting gold here. Come on.
Now you know what it's
Somebody's going to listen to the words.
It's a record. Now you know what it's like to pick out your own set. It was a long, we talked about it for a long time. It was a very weird transition to basically beg for a job for years and years and years, to pray to Chuck that it gets picked up for years and years and years, and then get to a place where they're now saying to you, like, hey, you want to do some more? I never thought I'd be given this responsibility. I don't know how I feel about that. It took a long time. And I think sometime, I honestly think it was sometime season 13 where Jensen and I kind of looked at each other and went like 2-1. I think, and he could correct me. And there's, it's really weird. This is maybe a bad analogy, but I had to put down a dog that I've had she was going to turn 16 in March, and I had to put her down in January. And it was a different situation because she was blind and deaf. Like, I'm not saying like, well, now Supernatural's blind and deaf and pooping itself when it sleeps. Like that's not the same. I feel like Supernatural is still strong, but Sadie, my girl, she was still alive. Like, she was still living. She just couldn't hold her faculties, and she couldn't walk, and she couldn't hear, and she couldn't see. But she was just, like, we took her to the vet, and the vet would be like, she's really feeling well. Like, she is not unhealthy, so it was a weird, and then it kind of, she deteriorated. Supernatural's not deteriorating, I guess is the difference. But it came to the point of like, okay, I think this is the right time. Like, it's a weird decision. And then I'm going to sell him out. When Jensen got to Vancouver 2 weeks ago, I have a text message from him. He's like, man, crazy being back in Vancouver. I feel like we could do 2 more years. And I was like, let's talk, man. Like, I certainly don't.
We're there for you.
I know.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to be. I don't want it to be like Lord of the Rings that had like 15 endings.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, I think it's really difficult. It's really difficult. But I do feel like I'm gonna get back on set and be like, why are we not coming back here? But it took a long time. We certainly talked about it ending for years. We talked about it ending for 14 years. Whether by our hands or somebody else's hands, or by happenstance, or by the network getting bought out, or whatever. So we've been dancing with death for 14 years, much like the Winchester brothers, never knowing when it was going to be time.
When Mark said that it was going to be that you and Jensen could be the ones to decide, it'll go as long as you want to go, was that a blessing or a curse?
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
That's a lot in your right mind.
It almost, he meant it. Pedowitz, for those who haven't met him, is a phenomenal man.
Yeah.
Great guy, great family man, brilliant businessman, and kind and honest. And the things that he's said that he was going to do, like he's been, you work for people that don't necessarily stick by what they say. They say it just so, like, win one for the Gipper kind of situation. He meant it. I guess it was more of a blessing, though it certainly was difficult,
right.
To have that responsibility. And it wasn't just like Jensen and I made the decision together, and then we talked with Mark and Peter and Bob. Like, it wasn't like we showed up and like, peace, we're out. So it was more involved in that. I'm really excited to tell the stories. I get to tell an overarching story, but I get to tell a lot of smaller stories concurrently. So I'm very thrilled to have had this opportunity.
I was talking about this a little bit earlier, and I think one of the reasons why he and I have stuck with this for as long as we have is I think there's also a realization on both parts here of just how rare and unique this opportunity truly is. There's not a lot of shows that get to film 327 episodes. There's not a lot of shows that and even more rare, they get to shoot 327 episodes of the same two leading characters. And the ones that do get into the triple digits and stuff, tend to be more procedural type shows, where they're following a formula that works and works very well. To constantly have to constantly be creating new storylines and new character arcs and new characters and all new motivations and stuff, season after season after season after season, and so on. I think we quickly realized that we were kind of part of something special here, and that we had, we've heard the metaphor of lightning in a bottle, and I just don't think he and I were ready to get rid of that anytime soon, and we were wanting to hang on to that as long as possible, and so we have, and we've tried to do it justice. We've tried to earn this as much as we possibly can. There's different rules
Warlock
for different
is gender
universes. What about this universe? Warlock? Wizard.
Warlock sounds cooler than wizard.
I'll be a Wizzock.
A warzard?
A warzard.
I smell a season 16. The warzard.
We got work to do.
That's Chuck's ending? No, I don't think so. After everything that he has put us through, I'll be damned if I'm gonna let some glorified fanboy get the last word.
No doubt, endings are hard. But then again, nothing ever really ends, does it?
And we won't be gone long, I promise.
It came to the point of like, okay, I think this is the right time. Like, it's a weird decision. And then I'm going to sell him out. When Jensen got to Vancouver 2 weeks ago, I have a text message from him. He's like, "Man, crazy being back in Vancouver. I feel like we could do 2 more years." And I was like, "Let's talk, man." Like,
To all the SPN family out there, thank you so much for taking this journey with us for 15 years. We love you, and we won't be gone long, I promise.